Miami Dolphins had a bye week today, so you know what that means? It means let's review these games. What is up, football fans? Week 10 of the NFL Sunday, because it's not week 10 in general, because we still got tomorrow's game, is in the books, and there were some crazy games today. Crazy. I will say this, I'm going to make a video about it tomorrow. A lot of games went the Dolphins' way. So we're sitting here on our bye, and a lot of things went our way, but that's a video I will talk about tomorrow, because in this video, we're just going to look at and react to the games from today. Late video, but the Jets just lost. The game ended, and wow, that was another game. So we're going to jump into all that, but before I do that, I have to shout out today's sponsor, and that is BetUS.
BetUS, America's favorite sports book, where you can bet on everything, anytime. Sportsbook, casino, horse racing, live betting, and more. We have the best bonuses in the industry. That's right, get a 125% sign-up bonus. And to celebrate our 30-year anniversary, we are giving up to 30 risk-free bets, a truck, Super Bowl tickets, and more. Don't miss out. Play smart. Join now. BetUS, where the game begins.
Shout out to BetUS. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring this video. Go check them out. Use it for your betting. It's a fantastic site with different props, all that good stuff. And like you saw, bunch of different competition. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share my screen. We are going to minimize ourselves. We're going to look at some games. We're going to start with, obviously, the Panthers Chicago game happened Thursday, but that one. But let's talk about this game. Let's talk about the Colts and the Patriots. Oh, this picture here is just says 1,000 words right here. This picture right here. Mac Jones, 15 for 20, 170 yards and an interception. Gardner Minshew, 18 for 28, 194 and an interception. Rushing yards. Ramondre Stevenson, 20 carries, 88 yards. Jonathan Taylor, 23 carries, 69 yards and a touchdown. Their leading receivers was Douglas, 63 yards, 6 receptions, 84 yards. And Michael Pittman, 8 catches for 84. It was, you would think New England would win. More first downs, more yards, more time of possession, but they didn't. They lost by 4, and Mac Jones was sucking, so they took Mac Jones out, and they put in Zappe for the final drive, and then Zappe throws a stupid interception. He tried like a fake spike and like just threw it to their defense, and Robert Kraft is not happy. Will Bill Belichick be the coach next year? I would be surprised. Bill Belichick has never in his career of being a head coach, I think they said, ever went 2-9. We're going to see what pans out there, but that was a crazy game. Speaking of a crazy game, the Houston Texans beat the Cincinnati Bengals. C.J. Stroud, 23 for 39, 356 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Joe Burrow, 27 for 40, 347, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Devin Singletary, is that Devin Singletary? 30 carries, 150 yards and a touchdown. Mixon, 11 carries, 46 yards and a touchdown. Brown, 7 receptions for 172 yards. And Jamar Chase, 5 catches, 124 and a touchdown. Look at the Houston Texans. Like, the Cincinnati Bengals defense, what were you doing? 544 yards, 28 first downs. The Houston Texans are a team that you need to now take seriously. They are one game, and we're going to look at the standings and everything, but they're one game out of first place, and they play the Jaguars next week. C.J. Stroud, Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's playing good, and the Cincinnati Bengals. You can't be throwing 2 interceptions, Joe Burrow. You can't look at the Houston Texans and take them lightly and say, man, it is what it is. And the Texans came back and won the game in Cincinnati. The whole my picks this week were just off. They were horrible. I think I got like 5 right. Hot garbage on me on my picks this week. Next, we have the Saints and the Vikings. Minnesota, Joshua Dobbs coming in and doing his thing. Jameis Winston, 15 for 25, 122, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Joshua Dobbs, 23 for 34, 268, and 1 touchdown. If you go back, I don't know how many years it was. I think when we got Jacoby Brissett, I wanted the Dolphins to have Joshua Dobbs as our backup quarterback. And I got so much flack in the comment section that offseason. I was right. This kid's good. Rushing yards. Kamara, 9 carries, 42 yards. Chandler, 15 carries, 45 yards, and a touchdown. Olave, 6 receptions, 94 yards, and a touchdown. Hawkinson was their leading receiver. 11 catches, 134 yards, and a touchdown. It wasn't that lopsided. 338 to 280. It wasn't that lopsided. You got about, 7 different, and then the play time, but look out for those Vikings. I think they're 1 game out of first place now with the Detroit Lions. Again, we're going to look at that. Actually, I could just look right here. Yeah, 2 games. Because I think Minnesota still needs their bye. Getting close. And they only have 1 game. New Orleans, that's South. That South ain't good. Ain't good at all. Then we got Green Bay versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kenny Pickett, 14 for 23, 126 yards. Jordan Love, 21 for 40, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. A.J. Dillon, 9 carries, 70 yards. Warren, 15 carries, 101 and a touchdown. What's going on with their other running back? Najee Harris. Receiving yards, Jay Reed, 5 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown. Pickens, 3 catches for 45 yards. Yeah, again, it's another close situation kind of time, right down the middle. This was another close one. After watching the Titans-Steelers game, I think that was last Sunday, I had a feeling this was going to be a close game, but Green Bay couldn't. Those 2 interceptions definitely hurt them. The fact that Pickett didn't throw any interceptions is probably why they came out with the win. Because if you look at the scoreboard here, the second half they tied in points, 6 for 6. It was right here, that second quarter. Next we have the Tennessee Titans taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mike Evans coming out, doing his thing. 6 catches, 143 yards, and a touchdown. Baker Mayfield didn't look bad. He actually looked pretty good in this game. 18 for 29, 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. Will Levis, 19 for 39, 199, and an interception. Derrick Henry didn't do anything. 11 carries for 24 yards. White, 20 carries for 51 yards. And Phillips was the leading receiver. 3 catches, 61 yards. This was a kind of a lopsided game. You look at the score summary here: field goal, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, field goal. They only kicked 2 field goals. You can't be doing that. But what I took away from this game is Baker's playing well, right? He's up and down, but he was playing well in this game. And Mike Evans is still showing why he's one of the top receivers in the NFL, making some really good plays to get them in that end zone. Next one we have is the 49ers taking on Jacksonville. Chase Young, that addition made the 49ers defense more dangerous than it already was. Brock Purdy was 19 for 26, 296 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence, 17 for 29, 185, and 2 interceptions. Horrible game from Trevor Lawrence. Christian McCaffrey, 16 carries, 95 yards. Travis Etienne, 9 carries for 35. Greg Little, 3 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown. Christian Kirk, 6 catches for 104. 4 turnovers by the Jacksonville Jaguars. 437 yards to 221. 21st, look, just complete lopsided. Let me see the full team stats, because I want to see the sacks. Pause on that. Hargrave, 1.5. Nick Bosa, 1.5. Armstead, 1.5. Chase Young, 0.5. Farrell, he even got a sack. And he was the bust from the Raiders gets a sack. The addition of Chase Young is going to be dangerous. The 49ers went from a team on a 3-game losing streak to a team that people are going to really need to start paying attention to again. Like, a lot of people were like, and we're about to talk about them, Baltimore, they're the best team in the NFL right now. I don't know. This was a crazy game, too, with the 2 interceptions. One of them was tipped from Lamar Jackson. Deshaun Watson didn't look good at the beginning, and then in the end, look at the box score. In the beginning, it was 17-3. And then towards the end, in the fourth quarter, Cleveland scored 16 and Baltimore only scored 7. Deshaun Watson, 30 for 24, 213 yards, a touchdown interception. Lamar Jackson, 13 for 23, 223, 1 touchdown. But those 2 interceptions were costly. Ford, 17 carries for 107 yards. Lamar Jackson was their leading rusher. See, he can't have that. 8 carries for 41 yards. Amari Cooper, 6 catches, 98 yards. Zay Flowers, 5 receptions, 73 yards. Now, these are going to be pretty even. The first down's more on Cleveland's side and the time of possession more on Cleveland's side, but this division, look at this division, 7-3, 6-3, 6-3, 5-4. And we're going to look at the playoff standings. All 4 of them are in the playoffs right now. But that game, I know Raven fans are sick, and I think Humphreys, their corner, might be hurt. That's a bad one. This is another good one. A lot of these games coming down to like last-second field goals. The Falcons taking on the Cardinals. Kyler Murray's first game back. Heineke, 18 for 15, 55 yards. I'm pretty sure he isn't. Yeah, no. Desmond Ridder. That's it? Wait a second. I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, Tyler Heineke definitely had to come in for him with only throwing 55 yards, and they won. That's it? They threw for 70 yards? Kyler Murray, 249 and an interception. Bijan Robinson, they finally used him, 22 carries for 95 yards and a touchdown. James Conner, 16 carries for 73 yards. Trey McBride, 8 catches for 131. Drake London, 3 catches for 36. They barely threw the ball. 3 sacks for the Cardinals, 2 sacks. Wow. I looked at this, I was like, oh, he must have came in. They must have benched somebody or something. I think he got benched and Ridder got put in. Holy crap. 100-yard difference. First down. Like, Cardinals, how do you... Well, they won. I was about to say, how do you lose? But how is this game that close when the opposing quarterbacks throw for 70 yards? That's crazy to me. Hey, Cardinals won. A win is a win. Kyler Murray's first game back. Good for you, man. Wow, I was not expecting that. This is another good game. Detroit versus LA, 41-38. This was a back-and-forth shootout. Jared Goff, 23 for 33, 333 yards. That's a lot of threes there. 3. Justin Herbert, 27 for 40, 323 yards. God, so many threes. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. 4 touchdowns, though. Good for you, Justin Herbert. Have him on my fantasy. Montgomery, 12 carries for 116 and a touchdown. Eckler, 19 carries for 67 yards and a touchdown. Have him on my fantasy. Amon St. Brown, 8 catches, 156 yards and a touchdown. Keenan Allen, 11 catches, 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. So many people are like, Josh Allen has no one to throw to. Don't underestimate Keenan Allen. That man is a good wide receiver. Yeah, this was a close game. That 1 interception is the 1 turnover is most likely what cost them this game. Because it was a shootout. It was a back-and-forth shootout. Everything's pretty even. Like 34 seconds difference here. You're looking at, 90 yards here, 1 first down. But it's that 1 turnover. That's where you got hurt. That's where it killed you. And the Lions marched right down the field, kicked the game-winning field goal. And it was that was it. But this was a shootout. And a lot of people were like, you can't be blaming Justin Herbert. And you can't. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. You can't. But in these types of games, it's those little errors that will cost you the game. But obviously their defense needed to do something. Then we have the Giants taking on Dallas Cowboys, 40-0 week 1. And now it's 49-17. Tommy DeVito, 14 for 27, 86 yards. 2 touchdowns and interception. Dak Prescott threw for 404 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Dowell, 12 carries, 79 yards and a touchdown. Saquon, 13 carries, 66 yards, sorry. Bellinger was their leading receiver, 34 yards. Brooks, 9 catches for 173 yards and 1 touchdown. They probably were like, we need to take, CeeDee Lamb out of it. Just complete, like, this is what I'm talking about, lopsided. Just horrible. And they had 2 turnovers, and they still whomped on you. Giants. I feel bad for Giant fans. I live up in Jersey, so I have a lot of Giant fan friends and stuff like that. This was another good game. Again, comes down to, I think there was 5 games this weekend, which is like the first time or one of the first times where 5 games came down to a field goal to win it. Howell, 29 for 44, 312 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's a good game. 31 for 47, 369 and 2 touchdowns for Geno Smith. That's a good game. Robinson, 8 carries for 38 yards. Walker, 19 carries for 63 yards. Robinson was their leading receiver, 6 receptions for 119 yards and a touchdown. And DK Metcalf, 7 catches for 98 yards. A little lopsided here. You had the 1 turnover from Washington. Other than that, 27 first downs to 16, 489 yards to 356. But the time of possession was right down the middle. It came down to the last second. They got their touchdown. And then it came down to the last second field goal from Jason Myers, winning the game for them. But if not for Philly, this division would be much closer. And then this one, 6-3 and 6-3. That's where you're going to be looking at San Fran and Seattle. The Rams and the Cardinals, they're pretty much out of it. But this was a good game. And then the final game we're going to talk about is the game that just happened. The Raiders beating the Jets 16-12. Zach Wilson 23 for 39, 263 yards and an interception. 1 interception. Not by him. I'm not saying 1 interception like it's great that he threw an interception, but the linebacker who, oh my goodness. O'Connell 16 for 27, 153, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Zach Wilson is your leading rusher, Jets. That is horrible. 4 carries for 54 yards, unless that's a typo, which I will check the team stats. Josh Jacobs, 27 carries, 116 yards. He was running all over the Jets. He fumbled, though, which kind of cost him there. Garrett Wilson, 9 catches, 93 yards. Devontae Adams, 6 catches for 86 yards. They had more yards. Raiders had the 2 turnovers. It was kind of even in this one. We'll look at the box score to see. Zach Wilson was the leading rusher. He had 13 carries, 28 yards for Breece Hall. Wow. Sack-wise, it was pretty even. I would have expected the Raiders to get more sacks than 2. Robert Spillane with that interception. He read that perfectly and just snatched it. And the Jets, their offense couldn't do anything. They kicked 4 field goals. That was it. 4 field goals. But let's look at the standings, the playoff standings. Right now, if the season ended, number 1 seed would be the Chiefs, Ravens 2, Jacksonville 3, Miami Dolphins 4. Now, if you see here, the Dolphins were on a bye, so they're sitting at 6-3. The Jaguars already had their bye, 6-3. The Chiefs are on their bye as well. The Ravens haven't had their bye yet. So if the Ravens, say the Dolphins win and the Ravens were on a bye next week, the Dolphins would jump up because they have the tiebreaker with the better conference record. Better conference and better division record gives them the tiebreaker over the Ravens. Whoop, we go up to number 2. But you look at the wild card and how the world has changed because the Houston Texans beat the Cincinnati Bengals, putting them at the 7 seed. So if the season ended today, CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans would make the playoffs as the 7 seed. You see Buffalo at 9, you see the Jets at 13, and you see New England at 16, because I'm a Dolphins fan. Obviously, I'm looking at our own division. Just absolute craziness how that's working out. That right now, the Houston Texans are the 7 seed. That's just crazy. Wins tiebreaker over Miami based on strength of victory. So this is strength. This is strength of victory. 517 to 250. What that means, I don't know. I'll look it up. I'll give you the answers. And then NFC wise, obviously you got Philly number 1, Detroit 2, San Fran 3, and Saints 4. Whoever wins the South is going to be the 4 seed. And then you got Seattle, Dallas, and Minnesota. Now for Dallas, it's going to be hard. You didn't beat. If you would have beat the Cowboys in your game back, and you had a chance, but you didn't. You laid an egg on that one. Not saying you didn't score any points, but when you needed to do what you needed to do, you kind of dropped the ball there. And then Minnesota. Now, you look at the teams behind them. Tampa Bay, Washington, Atlanta, Green Bay. Green Bay still has a chance. They need to get their stuff together, but they're only 3 games out of the wild card spot. But again, when you look at the way the season ends right now, the Miami Dolphins would be facing the Houston Texans. No, my apologies. The Miami Dolphins would be facing the Pittsburgh Steelers in Miami. The Jacksonville Jaguars would be facing the Cleveland Browns in Jacksonville. And the Baltimore Ravens would be facing the Houston Texans in Baltimore. Chiefs would have a bye. And then the Saints would face the Seahawks in New Orleans. The 49ers would face the Cowboys in San Fran. And the Lions would be facing the Vikings in Detroit. That's what would happen if the season ended today. But what an absolute crazy weekend for football. Tomorrow the Broncos face the Bills. I obviously will root for the Broncos. Will they do it? No. I really have no confidence in Denver to beat the Buffalo Bills at all. But the fact that so many teams that Miami needed to lose lost is crazy to me. Cincinnati lost. Baltimore lost. Jacksonville lost. LA doesn't matter. We have the tiebreaker. Those 3 teams alone losing is crazy. And then the Jets losing and the Patriots losing, which is just cherry on top. Like I said, we have Denver and Buffalo tomorrow night, which, again, I wouldn't be surprised. But I did not see Baltimore losing. I could have saw Jacksonville losing. And I didn't think Cincinnati would lose, especially home. And they lost. And they lost, which is crazy. But if you guys like this, maybe I'll do this every Sunday, kind of recap the game. It is harder when the Dolphins have a game because I do the post game and I have other stuff I have to do. But if you like this, comment below or give this video a thumbs up. It lets me know that you guys like it. But I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to talk more about how these games affected Miami, what's Miami going to do this week, and a lot of other stuff. But like usual, stay classy. F's up.